Hello and welcome on behalf of the Partnership for Public Service. My name is Danica Harutian, and I'm a senior manager on the Federal Workforce Programs team. Thank you for joining us to learn all about the Federal Advisor Certificate created by our team for the Call to Serve network, the only network that collaborates with over 1,400 higher education professionals and federal agencies to bring young talent into public service. Later, we'll be joined by a few panelists from the fall 2023 cohort of the Federal Advisor Certificate Program, and you'll hear perspectives directly from higher education professionals on the value of this program. If you have questions, add them to the chat and we'll be able to answer them after the event on LinkedIn. First, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Katie Hogan. She is a senior manager at the partnership who leads the partnership strategy to inspire the next generation to consider a career in public service. In her role, she manages key federal internship programs and oversees the Call to Serve network of colleges and universities. Previously, she directed Ohio State University's Washington, D.C. Internship and fellowship programs through the John Glenn College of Public Affairs, and also taught professional development courses at Ohio State for students with curriculum focused on federal careers. We've both formerly worked in higher education. We're really excited to share about this program. Over to you, Katie.
Thank you, Danica. I am really excited to share more about this program. Thank you for being with us today. We're really excited to have you. So I'm going to get started talking about why this program even exists. Why is it important to know about federal hiring and public service? So as we begin, let's talk about how and why the Federal Advisor Certificate program came to be. So this program enables participants to become truly expert in all things federal hiring and allowing you to support aspiring public servants. And I know many of you have students and alumni in your office who say that they want a job that allows them to serve the public, to make a difference, to do something bigger than themselves. The partnership believes that a stronger federal government means a stronger democracy, and that is ultimately our mission. One of the ways we live up to this mission is through our Call to Serve network, which, as Danica said, is the only network of higher education institutions, and we work to connect them to the federal government. This network is meant to provide resources and training for our Call to Serve network. And I'll also mention that as of today, and while it's still rapidly growing, our network is 1,500 strong of career advisors, experiential educators, and folks that work with students interested in public service careers from across the country. The partnership believes that it's critical to have initiatives such as the Call to Serve network and to work with our higher education community because as of today, just 7% of the federal workforce is under the age of 30. So that number is really scary. And the federal government is the largest employer of the country. And of course, does work that is important and affects real people in every state, every locality. So that's why we created the Federal Advisor Certificate earlier this year. It existed about a decade ago. There was a different format and delivery model, but we did have this program a while ago. I met someone from the original program at NASPA Career Advisors Conference a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun. But we brought the program back earlier this year, had over 250 folks in our summer cohort and about 100 folks in our fall cohort. So we're really excited to continue to offer it into 2024. And today, of course, our enrollment period is for winter. So in the chat, you can learn more about the partnership's Call to Serve network and receive our monthly newsletter. That is always free, by the way, so I hope you will do that. But why should you consider enrolling in this course, which I hope you all leave today and do? First and foremost, you can gain expertise. So as we said, you will be truly expert in all things federal hiring. And it's no secret that the federal hiring system is really difficult. As Danica said, I ran Ohio State University's Washington, D.C. academic internship program for nearly a decade. Federal hiring took me years to really figure out, and you never truly figure all of it out, but this program is going to get you as close as one possibly can be. So you're going to gain expertise. You're also going to build a community of peers. So what's really cool is there are folks from all over the country in the program. And while the program is asynchronous, you get to interact with people and learn about their role, their institution. There could be people from 3,000 miles away in your cohort, which just makes it really fun. And then you'll be better able to serve your students who want to be those change makers, who want to go into the workforce and really make a difference. And we know that federal hiring can be difficult to navigate. I just noted my personal experience. You know, there are so many opportunities in the federal government, but it can be really, really difficult. to figure out how to navigate through them, to even just navigate through USA Jobs. So it's a really complex and vast system. This program really breaks down the process, gives you every resource available to navigate through the federal opportunities your students may like to have, shows you those pathways, and then provides strategies and ways to advise your students so they can be successful when they go after those opportunities. And as we've said, Danica and I both come from higher education, so we know from experience. I always say that I wish this program existed when I was in my previous role. It was a collaborative effort to design it, but a core question was, what do we wish we would have had? What would have put us in the position to better serve our students that wanted to go into government and felt overwhelmed or lost when they started that journey? So as I said, before joining the Call to Serve team here at the partnership, I worked in higher education. I worked at Ohio State. I've mentioned I found the federal hiring process really difficult, particularly navigating through USA Jobs, writing that federal resume. But I also found that, and it took a lot of time, and many of you have probably started this as well, but figuring out how to do some of those key pieces to a federal job and share that with my students. I actually had students who were successful, who did get paid opportunities in government, who did successfully come out of the other end of a USA Jobs job application process with an offer. So I learned that if you teach students how federal hiring works, how the timelines look different than other sectors, they will see results, but it definitely takes the development of some expertise. So again, my team and I have really developed this program with you all in mind. And I know that the number of students who want to make a difference only continues to tick up. Every campus we go to, we hear that more and more than ever before, it feels like, from advisors. Students are saying, I want to go into public service. I want to go make a difference. I want to make a change. So we're really excited to equip you with the skills and knowledge you need to make that a more fruitful conversation for the students. All right, so we're going to get into a little bit more about what this program, how it's actually structured on the next slide. So I've noted this, but I'll say it again. This program is totally asynchronous. So you do not have to ever get onto a Zoom or report in anywhere. Although I do always joke it would be kind of fun if you all came to DC for 7 weeks. But for now, this program is totally asynchronous. There are weekly modules and weekly assignments with interactive engagement. And there are no required live sessions, as I said, over the course of the 7 weeks. It culminates into a campus plan. It's kind of like your final capstone, which is really fun. And that allows you to take everything you've learned and done and put it into a tangible action plan, essentially. And this is not meant to be stressful. We're not super punitive when we're reviewing it. It's really just a way to help you organize your thoughts because there is so much information thrown at you in those 7 weeks. So you can say, okay, here were the pieces that resonated. Here's what I'm going to do with it. And here's what would be most effective in my campus context. So for a brief overview of content, this slide notes just a sneak peek of what the material will cover. So if we go to the next slide. So these are the course details. I've teased some of this already, but it shows you how to navigate USA Jobs, how to guide students through that federal resume, which I've said federal resume a few times. For those that may not know, federal resume is different than the standard industry one-pager. It's longer, it's more detailed, there's some other information. We'll talk all about that. There's, if you haven't been on our gogovernment.org website, that's a website of resources that the partnership has created. We have all kinds of GoGovernment resources that we will provide. We also have over 36 videos that were created specifically for this program. So for the first 6 months of 2023, our team was working tirelessly to identify human resource managers and federal internship coordinators and young federal employees who were willing to be guest speakers and recorded those videos specifically for this program, which is immensely helpful. And so for more details, I think it would be wonderful if we could now hear from two folks who have actually done it. So I'm going to send things back over to Danica so she can talk more about our wonderful panelists.
Thank you, Katie. It's great to reflect on this past year and all of our participants in this program so far. And I'm very happy to welcome two of our fall cohort participants who are panelists today. We're joined by Delaney Boyd from the Phi Beta Kappa Society and Bennett Nestle from Villanova University. So I'll first ask them to introduce themselves and tell us a bit about their institutions and their role on campus and with students. So Delaney, let's start with you.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Delaney Boyd, and I'm the Associate Director of the National Arts and Sciences Initiative for the Phi Beta Kappa Society. There, I help lead our policy shop and advocate for the value of arts and sciences education, as well as manage our Key into Public Service Scholarship, which is for undergraduate students who are interested in public service careers. As for how I engage with various campuses, we have over 290 chapter campuses throughout the nation, and I interact with them on advocating for the value of the arts and sciences, and then also when it comes to selecting students for our scholarship program, which is currently open and which I'll share a link to in the LinkedIn chat after the program.
And Bennett, tell us about your role at Villanova.
Hi, everybody. So my role is I am an assistant director for our industry advising team. So my role in the industry advising team is kind of twofold. One being managing employer relations, and the other conducting student appointments, doing career counseling. Our team is divided into industry buckets. So I specifically focus on social impact, nonprofit, and government agencies. And Villanova University, just a little context, we are a private Catholic institution with about 10,000 undergraduate and graduate students. We have both centralized career services in our career center and decentralized offices in our academic colleges. So I have a lot of peers who also touch on our government agencies as well through their academic colleges.
Great. Thank you so much, both of you, for sharing and for that context. I know that many watching and throughout our cohorts have similar and varied roles on campus. So it's great to hear about how this program touches different, offices and roles. My next question for you, Bennett, why were you interested in the Federal Advisor Certificate program?
So I was extremely interested in this program just by virtue of me coming into this position. So I only started at Villanova this past May. And honestly, the government piece of my industry advising was the most daunting thing of the role. Private industry, I've had experience with in career counseling, but also just being somebody who worked in the private sector. So everything made sense in that job hiring process. And the government can feel a little bit more daunting. So coming into this role, I really wanted that context so I can best serve my students and feel comfortable kind of both sharing what that process looks like, but also giving context of what the government can offer them. We have a lot of students who are really dedicated to service. Being a Catholic institution founded on kind of Augustinian values, service is at the top of their mind. And I want to best put them in front of opportunities that will allow them to do that. And just beyond that, be kind of comfortable sharing everything that's available to them.
Thank you for sharing. And as a facilitator of this program, one of my favorite parts is reading participants' responses about the mission of their university or their institution and how that relates to service. So thank you for sharing that. Delaney, what drew you to this program?
So we've been really lucky and we've had the opportunity to work with the Partnership for Public Service, particularly when it comes to our Key into Public Service program. The partnership has helped us provide our scholars with resources on pathways into federal service for our scholarship conference. And that would get our scholars very excited about federal public service opportunities. So when they would come to us after the conference was over, I would get a lot of questions that I realized, even with a background in public service myself, I just did not have the answer to. When I saw this program come up, I realized that, I know that the partnership is the best person or the best group to come to for those answers. And this was the best way, I think, for me to be able to answer those questions, not only for our students, but for our chapter campus volunteers who also weren't quite sure what the opportunities were for their students who were interested in public service.
Great, thank you for that. And now that the fall program has very recently completed, can you please share 1 to 2 highlights from this program, or one key resource or interview that you would love others to hear about? Delaney.
Oh, yes. I mean, I would just like to note that the care that went into this program was truly unbelievable. From somebody who participated, I feel like every week I was just blown away by how many resources were provided to me as a participant. As far as the resources that really struck me the most, I really appreciated how diverse all of the opportunities that were covered were. I have a lot of students from a lot of different backgrounds who I speak with every day, and it can be difficult sometimes to know which pathway to kind of guide them to. And I felt that this program really covered all of the different opportunities that the federal government has to offer. And that was really helpful for me. Additionally, filling out the campus plan at the end, our little capstone project, was extremely helpful. I feel like I walked away from this program with actionable items that I could put into place immediately that would help me benefit my students, my chapter volunteers, my own staff on my team. And that meant a lot to me as well.
Wonderful. And Bennett, anything you'd like to highlight about your key takeaways?
Absolutely. So I would agree with everything Delaney just said. So adding on to that, some of the structure of the course really helped improve my ability to be a career coach and somebody who can guide their students and understand students. Throughout the um, course, you're asked to reflect in many different ways. The assignments are really well structured for you to understand and consider the specifics of your university, not just kind of rephrasing or regurgitating some of the information that was in the content. And the content itself is really great, but it takes it one step further and it really inspires you to think a little deeper of how you can apply that to your specific student population. Um, One of the highlights for me with regards to the resources um, is on the Go Government page, there is career guides that categorize different job series by um, different functions within the government. And I think this is really helpful for our students and just our philosophy at Villanova when it comes to um, opportunities. Your major isn't necessarily going to dictate the exact thing that you're looking to do. So if they have interest in other sectors or other functions, they can see that there's a lot of opportunities to go about that and in a lot of not so obvious ways on those career guides. There's a really great part of the guide that shows all of the different departments and agencies that have opportunities within those job series, and they aren't exactly all one-to-one. They can see that there are opportunities to do any number of things they want to do in any number of places, not even just DC.
Great. Those are some of my favorite resources as well. Thank you for sharing. And as we wrap up the panel, really briefly, what would you say in summary, Bennett, was how this program benefited you and your work?
It benefited me in my work just to improve confidence, be able to exert some sort of expertise. I feel like my career coaching appointments before this have been more, we're all in this together. Me and the student kind of shuffle through USA jobs, shuffle through finding different federal internships. And now I feel like I almost have a superpower in that I have all these great resources that I can really help guide or cut down on the time that we're searching and guessing and spend more time on what's more important, identifying meaningful opportunities so they can make more career informed decisions and find opportunities that are going to benefit their career.
That's amazing to hear. Thank you for sharing. And how about you, Delaney?
I'll have to copy Bennett. Yeah, my confidence in not only, finding the resources is just one of the challenges. Knowing what to do with all of the resources is another challenge. And I feel like this program gave me the confidence and the ability to look at all of those resources and know which resource does this particular student need, which resource is going to benefit this particular faculty or staff member as they advise their students. How is that going to benefit them or this school, etc. I wouldn't have had that without this program.
Thank you both. It was really a pleasure to have both of you in our fall cohort and excited to keep in touch with you as this work continues in support of so many students. Thank you to our panelists for sharing their perspectives with us today. And for those of you watching now or later, by joining this program, you would join Delaney and Bennett as alumni in this growing network as well. So we'll briefly touch on how can you sign up for this program for winter 2024. We are sharing the website link in the event chat for you to learn more. And as shown on the slides, and as Katie mentioned, you can always at any time join our free network of newsletter resources by opting in to our monthly newsletter and then enrolling in the Call to Serve network at the Tier 2 or Tier 3 options with the pricing on the screen. Includes enrollment in this Federal Advisor Certificate program. So the pricing is on the screen, and we'll be able to share more details if you have follow-up questions. For the sake of time, I would like to share that we wanted to give one taste of the resources that are shared with you in this program. So I'll pass it back to Katie to give a glimpse of our newly launched Federal Internship Finder, which was created by our team at the partnership.
Thanks, Danica. Yeah, so I know we have just a couple moments, but excuse me, it has been mentioned throughout that we have all kinds of resources, external, but also internal to the partnership through gogovernment.org. And one of our latest resources that we're so excited about, it was released earlier this fall, is our Federal Opportunity Index, our Federal Internship Finder. So this is a user-friendly, searchable resource that includes filters. So you can filter by agency, you can filter out unpaid internships. We're definitely not a fan of those with the partnership. You can look by career fields. So we mentioned the career guides. That's how we grouped them. But anyway, so and there's also fellowships and some other awesome things in here. But anyway, there's almost 1,000, and you can just really find things that you may not otherwise have known about. Because as we talked about, the federal government has all kinds of opportunities, and a lot of them, the access points are in places that you may not think to look. So we know how frustrating it can be to navigate that. And this resource was shared with our summer certificate participants, believe it or not, when it was still an Excel sheet, but now it is a live website that you can go to today. But it's just the example of the kind of thing that you would have access to help guide your development of your expertise. And it's something great you can take back to those you advise in your campus community. All right, so we're going to go to the next slide. So we're going to try to do some Q&A in the last couple moments that we have. So I'm going to turn things back over to Danica.
Thanks, Katie. As some questions come in, we'll just note that the program dates for the winter session are January 8th to February 29th. And I'm keeping an eye on our chat here for questions.
You can also follow up with us if you think of something later or have to run. We know it's a busy time at this call to serve at ourpublicservice.org that you see pictured here on the screen. You can also comment on the LinkedIn event. We can get back to you that way as well, but we're really happy to answer questions in the final moments that we have.
Another frequently asked question, if you or your colleagues are interested in joining as a team, you can reach out to us. The tier membership allows for different numbers of participants from colleagues. And then if you would like to be in the same cohort or to collaborate across your projects, we're also happy to discuss that.
So we did get a question, Logan, if you can go back to the slide with the cost. There is a small cost associated with the program. We have to cover our administrative fees and our staff time. And how is it funded? Every participant is different. I would say if there's professional development funds available through your department or institution, that's most typically how we see it funded. Who provides the certificate? So the partnership we do, since we are the preeminent organization that works to connect higher education with the federal government and have really sophisticated connections and inroads into the federal government, which allowed us to construct this content with federal employees' voices in mind. And then you actually get the credential through Credly, allowing you to have a badge in your email signature if you choose, as well as your LinkedIn. We can share the website for the federal internship finder. Yes. Logan, if you could get that to Soraya so she can put that in LinkedIn Live, that'd be great. Or Danica has it. Okay. So are there dates for the spring term? So really good question. So the winter is, we're not going to have a spring. So the winter is our next session, and Danica shared those dates. We will have a summer 2024, which we do often hear. I will say that's probably our most popular. I know that we just brought the program back, but that seems to be when there's the most give in busy career advisors' schedule. So those dates will be published on our website in early 2024, and you can enroll as soon as, I think, mid to late January. That's going to be early June through early August, mid-June through early August. Hours per week, that really varies by participant, and we got feedback in the summer that some of it needed to be optional, so a lot of it is optional content. So it depends on how much you want to engage, but it can be anywhere between, I would say, 2 to 6 hours a week. And then the biggest section is 3 weeks long, so it really depends how you pace it. But I'd say in general, 2 to 6 hours a week, depending on how much you want to engage with the content. Yeah, and so are we able to share the cost slide? I'm so sorry you can't see it. We can also get you a link to the website with the pricing. There we go. Thank you. The last day to register for winter, honestly, you could still do it the first week of January. We're really flexible. We like to try to make things work. You know that I said I used to work for university, so I know how sometimes it can take time to get that P card or get something financial approved. So I would say like first week of January, but the sooner the better, of course. And then for summer, it's likely going to be late May. Although I will say if summer, that's another thing, there could be a wait list for summer. So if you're thinking summer, I would enroll as soon as possible because it could fill. These are great questions.
And as we wrap up here, there was one question. Is this session recorded? It is recorded. It will be posted on LinkedIn and the partnership's YouTube. We also have linked our email in the chat for additional questions. And this concludes our LinkedIn Live event. So please do get in touch with us by connecting with us on LinkedIn. Enrolling in that newsletter, you'll hear the latest updates about resources and enrollment for this program. Thank you again to our panelists, Delaney and Bennett. Thank you, Katie. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope to see you in our winter cohort of the Federal Advisor Certificate Program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Delaney. Thank you, Bennett.